That's a good idea. Good idea.
That could be fun.
That would look amazing.
Are we rolling?
Yeah, I think we're
Podcast.
Today I'm in Berlin with you.
Hello.
Thanks for joining.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
So, just to let the listeners know, who are you and how did you get started?
My name is Dean. My name is Dimitar, but I go with the artist name DeanisHOME. I'm 25 years old. I come from Bulgaria, from a small city near Sofia. And at the moment I'm living in Berlin. For the past 6-7 months I've been playing music in Berlin mostly, and yeah, I'm a full-time musician at the moment. I don't have other jobs. I just rely on making music at the moment. Right now I'm full-time street musician on the streets of Berlin, and yeah,
That's awesome.
that's about it.
So you're a street musician.
Yeah.
How is that working out in Berlin? Because I know Berlin is famous for its club scene with house music and all this kind of music. How is it working out to be a street musician in Berlin? Sorry.
Yeah. Well, it's also famous for the street music as well. There's a ton of musicians coming from all over the world to play here, and it's pretty colorful. There's bands, there's singer-songwriters, there's street DJs, there's everything. And you know, right? The problem is not that we have not enough musicians. There's a lot of musicians. The problem is street music right now in Berlin is that they're trying to make it illegal, and it is actually technically illegal to play on the street with amplifiers. So. They're trying to, you know, 4-5 years ago, I was not living in Berlin, but other musicians tell me a lot of stories how easier it was to play on the street, and now it's getting harder and harder because, you know, police shut you down and Ordnungsamt shut you down, and they give fines for street musicians. I have friends that they get their equipment taken away, and it's getting harder for street musicians, but it's possible, so yeah.
Okay.
I can get much deeper in this topic if you want. I can tell you more about street music.
You have lived in other cities, you told me.
Yes, like I just finished my bachelor degree last year, but 4 years ago I started traveling away from Bulgaria. When I was 21 years old, I went to America first. I went to upstate New York. I lived in Saratoga Springs, which is near Albany, the capital of New York State, and it was the usual thing for students to go and like work shitty jobs in the States for one summer to make some money. I was washing dishes and, you know, cutting grass and selling skateboards and like doing everything I can, you know, and I started playing on the street there, and I first was introduced to this this world of street music in America. I started the street musicians world in Saratoga was so interesting for me. There were so many really talented musicians that this pushed me to buy my camera and start my YouTube channel, which was especially for street musicians. I was filming them and interviewing them. The channel was called 2 Bucket Street Channel, which then changed to DeanisHOME, which is my artist name. But yeah, this is how I started. Then I was living in Essen, Germany for 6 months. I was studying there also. I lived in partly in Oslo, Norway. Last year I was living on a ship, working as a drummer. My degree, my education, my bachelor is in sound engineering and percussion.
Yeah.
And with this I was working with different bands. As I said, in Essen, Germany, I was working with a band from Germany that was making shows in this area, also in Holland. And I was working for an NGO from Bulgaria last year, and with them I was going to different cities in Europe just for like 1-2 weeks. Like, been to Stockholm, been to places in Italy, I've been places in France near Paris, and where else? In Turkey. Basically, for the last few years, when someone tell me, Dean, let's come to do this project in this place, if it involves traveling, I say go. I go. If it's like come and pick apples in Romania, then next week come to Turkey for doing a project with NGO, then come to Essen to make a show, I'll say yes to all of those things just so I can go and do things.
Yeah.
Because when I was 21 years old, when I went to America, I realized that I'm gonna grow on a quicker pace if I just go and do things. Because when you're 21, 22 years old, it's not important to make money. It's not important to make a career.
No.
It's important to get as much feedback as possible so you can decide and you can know, okay, I want to do that. And why I say that, because I think that the only two things that we should actually doing as people was figuring out what we want in life and realizing it. And the first thing is much harder, the second one is much easier. If you know what you want, you can just go and do it. But one of the problems that we all have when we were like 20 years old or younger or older, and I'm sure the listeners also can relate, you just don't know exactly where your place is. You're 20 years old, you grow up somewhere, and everyone have these expectations for you. Your parents, your friends, you're like, they want you to be a lawyer or a doctor or whatever, or like bank person, or if you tell them, all right, I want to be a filmmaker or musician, it's like, what is this, and you have no idea. So in order to have a more concrete answer for yourself, you just need to go and do things. And I was trying to do that for the last few years. I was just trying to get as much experience in my life as possible. I don't really like to talk about myself all that much because it's a bit egocentric, but like everything that I was interested in, I was just trying to do it. For example, right before going to study in Germany for a semester, I got a pilot's license for flying paragliders. I was all my life afraid of heights, and after coming back from America, I kind of became a bit more brave, and I was like, if there's something I want to do, if I'm afraid, I just want to try it.
Yeah.
And I was just trying all kinds of different things. For me, I can say the most inspirational moment of my life, the moment that my life changed, was with this trip to America, because it was really scary and it was really difficult. I was homeless for a little bit. I was living in a homeless shelter. My parents didn't know about that. They find out when I came back. I had kicked out of my job, of my place. I had to find a new place to work and to sleep for like 4 days. Otherwise, I was going to get deported back to Bulgaria. So it was like, what's happening? And I didn't even speak English that well. So it was all this like things. And but I think with higher risk situations, this is when you grow. And the higher the risk is, the higher the reward you get. So if you're scared, you need to do it. I mean, I was one way or another into music all my life. I started as a singer guitarist for a punk band when I was 13. I had my punk high school bands. We were playing small shows in my city in Wraca, and also in the small festivals in the country. But I never, growing up in Bulgaria, it's a country in the Balkans that, one of the things that we struggle, like economically, it's not the best place. So this means that the idea of being a musician is really scary for your parents, and you know, it doesn't sound good. So I didn't thought I'm gonna be, you know, relying on music for, you know, making money. I didn't know it's possible for me to pay my rent with music when I was a teenager. I was doing music, but I was not thinking I'm gonna be doing this when I'm older. And but later in my life, when I get into music university, and I realized for the last few years that music is all I love, all I want to do, and I'm gonna do this to the rest of my life. And now I'm here in Berlin, playing on the street and playing everywhere I can, and just like enjoying my life. And yeah, I don't know, I can talk about this a lot.
Yeah, because you ended up in Berlin.
Yeah, why?
Berlin for now.
Yeah.
And you were telling me earlier that to be in Berlin, because it's such a artsy city.
Yeah.
It's kind of a learning curve, because the competition is big.
Oh yeah. Let me tell you why I came to Berlin. Maybe it's gonna be interesting. So, as I said earlier, I was living at least for a little bit in different parts of Europe for a while. So I was doing that to get input. How is it like there? How is it like there? How is it like there? You know, I was getting ideas because I was imagining my life in the future. And I remember last year I was working on a ship in Norway. One of those cruise ships. I was playing cover music with a 4-piece band, going from Oslo to Kiel, from Norway to Germany. And playing there, I realized I want to move to a big place, like you know, like Berlin, like New York City, like London, like, you know, something like it, like Tokyo, like a big place. Because I realized two things. First, if you keep traveling, you just make connections, but then you leave those people. Like if you live for 4 months, 6 months in one place, you make something, but it's in order to build like foundation, you need to invest more time into be there. And I realized I need to move to a big place and just to stay there for 1, 2, 3 years, whatever, more time. And last year, coming from this Norway job, I get with like pen and paper, and I start writing down and thinking in my hometown, in my parents' house, where should I go? You know, I just like make a list with like 10 cities in the world, and just start sketching like a paragraph. You know, for Berlin, for Paris, like how is it like? You know, how it's gonna be my rent for a month? How it's gonna be my minimum wage, right? All those things that I need to make into consideration, because going to a place like this is gonna be an adventure. You know, going alone. I didn't know anyone in those. And Berlin kept on popping up in the top of my list because it's cheap compared to other places, because it's colorful. You have people from all around the world, which is something that I love. I'm really inspired by different cultures. So you have, you know, cheap rent, you have a lot of culture, and it's like, as we talked earlier with you, it's like a crossroad between everything. So you have like whole European culture is kind of crossing to Berlin. It's everyone is coming to here. So yeah, it's a great place to make connections, and because everyone is coming here, the quality is pushing, so all the musicians are coming here. So, you know, there's a difference between being the best musician in Essen, Germany, or to be the best musician in Berlin. You know, there's so much more competition, so it pushes you to be better. You know, people that you see playing on the street, all of them are sounding really polished, really well, really well put together. They have all great albums. So in order to survive on the scene, you need to get better, so it's really healthy.
Okay.
Yeah. Long answer.
No, that's good. That's good. 1 second.
I can just like.
No, let's go. Maybe we should talk a little bit about your music.
Oh, okay.
Your latest album, Lighthouse 1922.
Oh yeah.
It's really a mix.
Oh
of,
yeah. That's the shit.
Different styles.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
How to get the inspiration?
Okay, I'll tell you.
How to find the mix of your styles, because some of the songs are really
different.
It's more like in the house music. Some of the songs are really singing songwriters. And how do you get the inspiration for for your music?
Yeah, well, okay, this year, okay, with DeanisHOME, with my project, the idea is that it's one guy, it's me doing everything together, like all the instruments, all the songs I'm recording and playing, everything. And I did 3-4 albums last years, and this year, coming to Berlin, I decided I want to make more content, you know. And in March, I start making 1 album a month. And I made like 4 or 5 albums, you know, really quickly this year. And last month, I get asked to go on a project in Norway again, to one of the northern parts of Norway in Lofoten Islands.
Yeah, Lofoten. Yeah.
Yeah, which is like above the polar circle. And it was like my friend Cicely Beck. She's a singer-songwriter from Denmark, actually, living in New York City. She was getting this project, like one small island with a recording studio and a lighthouse, and that's it, you know. And I went there with her to record her songs for 2 weeks, and it was me, her, and 2 locals. And I was thinking, okay, I'm on an island with 1 music studio and nothing else, so I'm gonna make an album. And the idea of this album is I made it all for 1 week, everything, like all the songs, all the everything, recording everything. And the idea was to make the whole album inspired by the island, by the ocean. And it's called Lighthouse 90, what it was, 22? Because this is because this is the year when they made the lighthouse. And you know, my inspiration, I grew up with punk rock and surf music and all this like upbeat, you know, high energy music. So you can hear it. There's a lot of surf guitars, a lot of punk rock in the energy, in the singing, and in the beats. I sampled some sounds from the island with the microphone. I recorded the sea, the waves, I recorded seagulls, and I added all of those elements into different compositions, different parts of the album. There is a song that's called Arriving on the Island, where I just recorded waves and birds of the island, plus a little music box that I found in the lighthouse.
It's the
thing that you turn.
Yeah, the thing. Oh, I heard that out.
Yeah, and I was like, what is this shit?
Yeah.
Also, the song Ghost of the Lighthouse, which is a little bit electronic song, I recorded inside the lighthouse after midnight, just by myself, because there is a tale of a ghost of a young 16-year-old boy who's living in the lighthouse. And my idea was to go there, meet him, make a song with him, record him in the lighthouse. And it was spooky, it was great. And I made a few songs, a few singer-songwriter songs. There's a song called Blue Eyes, which is, you know, I have this girl that you know, I didn't really have a healthy relationship with her, but I met her a few years ago, and like the idea of her kind of inspires me, so I'm kind of writing songs about her in every album. It's really weird, like shit, you know. And I made a song about this girl, it's also on the album. I made a song about the whales, you know, because there's whales swimming around the island. And yeah, it's, you know, the album is all about, inspired by this, you know, lighthouse thing. Yeah, the idea was, I mean, for me, I'm really happy how it turned out, but I'm happy because I made it for 1 week. So this year I'm trying to push myself and to like, I mean, I'm guessing there's a lot of you know, musicians or content creating listening to this podcast probably. So I can imagine that you guys are struggling as me with the problem of perfection and finishing things. and I'm struggling with this a lot. Like, what does it mean if a song is finished? What does it mean if an album is finished? Like, it's never gonna be finished, right? I mean, there's nothing like a finished, because it is never gonna be perfect. But when you decide it's finished, this is when it's finished, you know. And this is a place where I'm coming from, recording this album and making my albums this year. Yeah, I'm just like trying to finish things. Yeah, long answer.
I can see on your online on your Instagram,
Yeah.
for example, that you also play some club gigs.
Yeah,
In
yeah,
Berlin.
yeah.
Did you play in the other cities you have lived in the clubs as well? And how is the
Different.
different between-
Great question. Great question. I'll tell you. When I was living in Essen, Germany, I was playing in a band from Essen, and we were playing in almost every city nearby. And playing there and playing in Berlin, the biggest difference that the other artists will not like was that Berlin clubs doesn't like to pay all that much, and it's easy to understand because there's so many musicians here, so they can get away with not paying musicians. So like practice that is really well made here is that you play for the head, which means you make a show in a bar in Neukölln or whatever, and in the end of the show, you know, the owner just collects the money from the people, and it's not a lot of money usually.
Oh, blue eyes, you'll always be my girl. Even after 100 years, I'm always thinking about you, dear. Oh, blue eyes, you came into the warmer spring and turned my life upside the swing. I sing for you, you are my queen, yeah.
There's no shitty gigs, there's only played gigs or not played gigs.
Do you have on top of that? Do you have any
Good experience?
advices? Sorry.
Advices.
Do you have any good advices for
who?
artists, upcoming artists, street musicians?
Yeah, I would say just go and do it. I mean, it sounds cliche. It's the only good advice I have. For me, I was like, I would say, I started really playing music in front of people last 2-3 years. Like really. Before that, I was playing, but not that often. I was not making a lot of gigs. I was making like 1 gig every 2-3 months. I was recording a lot at home, but it doesn't work like this. Even though we are like the digital era, maybe for some people, but for me, I think it doesn't work when you put that much energy into posting photos and posting videos instead of going and playing in front of people, because it's like you work on your name, but in the end of the day they want to see you play live. You know, what are you selling? You're selling a good experience and good energy and good, like, or bad energy, whatever you want to sell, but you know, you're selling an experience, and in order to get better at this, you just need to practice it like everything else. So my advice is go and play live. Then I play on the street not because I want to be a street musician. It's a vehicle for me to play live. If I have an option to play in bars every day and get paid, I'll do that, and this is on my menu. At the moment, playing on the street is like making shows in front of people, so that's why I'm doing it. So go and play live, don't make excuses. Just go and play and fail, have a shitty show, break your strings, get embarrassed, but go and play. You're gonna get stronger, you're gonna get better, and in the end of the day, you're gonna be better than the others because you're going and doing it. So don't be afraid of failing.
Okay. So.
Wow. That's flying.
So 1 second.
Okay. All right. All right. That's a great question. That's a great question.
Can you please?
Interested.
Okay. What was the question again?
How do you attract a crowd on the streets?
Oh yeah. So, how do you attract a crowd when you're playing on the street?
Do you want a short or long answer?
The long.
Okay. Okay. So, I want to start with the main difference by playing on the street and playing in a bar is that when you go in a bar, you have the people already there. They're waiting, they're drinking, they're eating. They're already in the mood to be entertained. So you just go like a monkey on stage entertaining them. You know, they're already there. You know, it's not a struggle to, they're in the mood. When you play on the street, usually you play on a big square or on a train station. People are going somewhere, people are coming from somewhere, and you know, they have something else to do. You're just in the way of their thing that they're doing. So you need to hold them. You need to think differently than you think on stage. When you think on stage, you think like everyone is here to see me. So this is how when you go on the street, no one cares. Like few months ago, when I started playing on the street of Berlin for first time alone, I was thinking all the time, when I see a people, how can I hold them? You know, make eye contact. You know, just like giving them energy, so they, oh, this guy is looking at me. You know, and he's playing, so they come. You know, and it's really difficult to keep them for 1, for 2 to 3 songs, because you need to give them something. You need to give them something, and then you give you some. Then they stay, and then they give you money, whatever. But later, I start thinking differently. Like right now, I think like I'm not trying to hold every single person. I'm more of a trying to make a atmosphere.
Yeah.
So I just go there and I focus on making good music, creating good sound on the place, and just enjoying myself, and making that naturally. You are like magnet, and you people start getting around you, because imagine something else. A lot of those people are coming from their shitty jobs that they don't like a lot of times, or from the office, or doing something else, and maybe they had some shitty boss yelling at them all day, or something else like this, and they see someone having fun, enjoying themselves. It's really attractive for them. So instead of focusing on every single person, focus on you and on making a good sound environment, and it's going to be easy for you to attract the people. And this will be my advice: just go and play a good song. And for all the starting musicians playing on the street, my advice will be, you are not like, when you play on the street in front of people, they are not giving you a favor by standing there, because what is the alternative? They just go in their shitty job or jumping on the metro. Like, they're standing there because you're giving them something. And it's really easy to get lost when you play on the street by feeling like, oh, I should give them, I should. No, you don't need to do anything. You just need to enjoy yourself. Just go and enjoy yourself, play good music, and they're gonna keep there. I mean, you are giving, you're making them a favor by creating this beautiful environment, by creating this moment, taking them away from their reality, their difficult, stressful lives. You're giving them a favor by making music and creating something special, some special moment. Sometimes you play on the street. A lot of times I get this reaction, like maybe 1 or 2 a week, a person comes to me and tells me, this was the most beautiful moment of my day, or my most beautiful moment of my week. And like, you can see that those people are really meaning this. And so for all the musicians, don't feel like you owe those go there and be happy and enjoy yourself and value yourself. Go there and play the the music, play the songs, and have trust in yourself, push it, believe in yourself, and just enjoy your time. And the money will come, and the CDs will be sold, and you're gonna get recognized, and everything's gonna start working for you. Just go there and play the songs. And the other advice will be to just respect other musicians also, because we're all going through the same struggles, the same things. So
Here in the end, maybe we should take a listen to one of your songs.
I just want to say to everyone who's listening, go out there and do it. Don't be afraid to fail. Just go and play the music. Go and listen to the music. If you see artists that you like on the street, buy the CD, buy it when you can, because there's a really big chance that those people that you're listening to are sleeping on people's floors and eating, just like bread and cheese every day. So if you find artists that you like, please support it. Buy the CD for $5. It's gonna be good. And if you listen to me on the internet. My name is DeanisHOME. It was my pleasure to talk with my friend Chris and Tim from HQ Audio Talks. And it's really nice.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for doing this.
Yeah.
And I hope to see you again soon.
Yeah, man. They like you.
Yeah.
You're really sweet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. I would really like to take that slide before we go.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we do.
It looks so fun.